sao, in ring shring, kaela ring, asakahala ring, sakala ring, sao ein kling ring shring. Namaste. So today we're going to talk more about the śirovrata, putting on the bhasma or vibhuti, the tripuṇḍra, the 3 lines on the forehead and other parts of the body. So this is all ancient wisdom from Śrīmad Devi Bhagavatam. Now, my experience is, and I've traveled all over the world living in native cultures, from the Native Americans in the US Southwest to the Native Islanders in the South Pacific, to obscure villages in the Himalayas and into the southern mountains of India. And I have found that the people who follow the old ways are always the happiest, healthiest, and most fearless and trouble-free people. It's the modern people who are always anxious and fighting amongst themselves and so on because they have no morality, they have no peace. See, they don't know the difference between right and wrong anymore. And that is one of the definitions of insanity. So anyway, those old ways are right and they're good. But because people don't study the scriptures anymore, because people don't hear from actual realized souls, they don't understand the reason for the old ways. The why has been lost. People know what they should be doing, but they don't understand why, and so people can very easily argue them out of it, especially by overwhelming them with majority rules type arguments. A good one came up just the other day, that the pranava, the Vedic mantra that comes at the beginning and end of all sacrifices and all other mantras, has 3 letters, A, U, and M. And they should all be pronounced. Each one should get 2 beats, 2 padas. They're long. A, U, M, not Om. Om is a different mantra. It has a different meaning, a different purpose, and a different effect from Aum. Should be a nasal termination. Like any bija mantra should have a nasal termination like hring, kling, aing, and so forth. And then finally, because there's a bindu on top of it, a bindu, it should have a moment of silence, half a beat of silence at the end. So this is the proper way to pronounce Om. But because that explanation has been lost, people take a shortcut and pronounce it Om. It's Aum. And anyway, there are many, many examples like this. And one of them is the tripuṇḍra, the bhasma. Bhasma means ashes. And the vibhuti is ashes that are prepared in a special sacred way by cooking them at very high heat in a sealed container without oxygen. So they don't oxidize, but they become very, very pure. The ashes of cow dung, that is grass-fed, natural cows, not your beef cattle, those are weird hybrids, but native cows that are kept in a family situation and treated like pets, happy cows. You take their cow dung and then you cook that at very high heat in a low oxygen environment. And that's what becomes this beautiful white ash called bhasma or vibhuti. Now, the process of applying bhasma or vibhuti is called a śirovrata. Literally means the head vow. Because putting it on the head is the most common way of applying the bhasma. So the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam says something very, very profound about this. It says, only those who are purified by the observance of śirovrata are entitled to brahma-vidyā and none others. The Vedas command those who have performed śirovrata are to be advised on brahma-vidyā. Brahma-vidyā means the knowledge of Brahman. Brahman is the source. Brahman is the non-dual mode of pure existence and pure consciousness, which is actually awareness, because it has no object. So when one realizes Brahman, this is the highest state of consciousness this is the highest state of consciousness called turiyatita. This is very rare, of course. But in the old days, this knowledge was kept secret. Before printing presses, before the internet, before all this stuff came out. This knowledge of Brahman was given only to those who were qualified. And what is the qualifying mark? This śirovrata. So try to understand. This is such a purifying process that it qualifies one to receive the knowledge of Brahman. And you might say, well, I can get that knowledge on the internet. You can read the books about it on the internet. But that's different from associating with a realized being. And that's different from hearing from someone who actually knows Brahma. See, and that qualification or that blessing was given only to those who practiced śirovrata. You see, because this is one of the most important purificatory processes in the Vedas. And you know, people all over the world used to do this, not just in India, but everywhere. The American Indians did it, the Samoans did it, the Hawaiians did it. I know because I talked to the medicine men in all of those places. So why have people stopped? Well, for one thing, we stopped using fire in its usual form, in its natural form. We stopped burning wood, and so there's not a ready supply of ashes in most households, which is too bad. But anyway, hey, you can order vibhuti on Amazon.com. Anywhere that Amazon delivers in the world, you can get vibhuti. Huh? So there's no excuse. The only excuse is ignorance. So the scriptures go on to say, even an animal becomes freed from its animal nature by application of vibhuti. This vrata is so powerful that even an animal, and this was proved by Ramana Maharshi. Ramana Maharshi had a pet cow called Lakshmi. And Lakshmi every day would get the bhasma on her forehead, the tripuṇḍra. And at the end of her, and oh yes, she would come every morning to hear Brahmanas' talks. So one day she didn't show up. And everybody was like, well, where is Lakshmi? And Ramana went and found her, and she had collapsed, and she was like at the end of her life. So she died literally with her head on his lap. And he said that she attained final release, moksha. So if an animal can attain moksha simply by application of bhasma, what to speak of human beings? Of course, she had the association of a realized being, but that's very rare. But hey, the internet is there, videos are there, You can associate if you really want to. And we have our course site. So there's really no excuse not to know all these things and not to do them. But what else? It has been repeatedly uttered in the Vedas that the dharma of the Brahmanas especially is to put on the tripuṇḍra, the 3 curved lines of ashes on the forehead. Shiva is always hidden under the cover of ashes. So the Śaivas, the followers of Shiva, are especially supposed to use tripuṇḍra. So Lord Brahma is the original Brahmana, and he uses this tripuṇḍra. So if he is using, then all the other Brahmanas should do. What is this? Today people call themselves Brahmana, but they're working in government offices, or they're working in business, or they become doctors. They have to deal every day with blood and stool and so many impure things. This is not Brahmana. Got news for you. Brahmana means one whose sole purpose in life is to realize Brahman. That's the purpose, that's the duty, that's the life of a Brahmana, okay? So just because one is born in a certain family doesn't mean that one's actually a Brahmana. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarnyam maya shrishtam guna karma vibhagasaha. I created these 4 varnas. Now, don't call them castes, because caste means by birth. Krishna says, I created these 4 varnas, chaturvarnyam, and I discriminate between them by guna karma, quality and work. He doesn't say janma jati vibhagasaha, by birth and by family tradition. No, he says guna karma vibhagasaha. To distinguish among Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra, Kshatriya, whatever, by quality and by work. So if someone is doing the work of a Brahmana, he's a Brahmana. If someone has the qualities of a Brahmana, he's a Brahmana. But if somebody has the qualities of some other group, then they belong to that group. So we see that most people today, whether they're born in this family or that family, are by quality and work Shudras. They take a job, which means they're a servant, and then they identify with a certain livelihood other than trying to apprehend the Brahman. So because of this, we can understand that 99% of people today are simply Shudras or less than Shudras. At least a Shudra has a master who is a qualified Dvija, who has the second birth, who has the Diksha in the Gayatri mantra. At least a Shudra is a theist who is performing worship in the temples and at home, maybe under the direction of his master, whatever his master is doing. See? But someone who is an atheist, who doesn't perform any sadhana, who doesn't do any kind of vrata, who doesn't do any puja, who doesn't do any charity and like that, is less than a Shudra. So actually almost all the world population today, even in India, is less than Shudra. So is there any doubt why they're not becoming self-realized? I mean, it's crazy. Kali Yuga is so crazy. And yet there are people saying that Kali Yuga is almost over. No, dude. Kali Yuga is just getting warmed up. We got another 227,000 years to go. It's just going to get worse and worse. So take the opportunity now, while you have the intelligence, while you have the facility, while you can order the bhasma from Amazon.com. Well, it's easy enough to make it yourself. And in a later video in this series, we'll show you exactly how. But anyway, the mantras used in applying the bhasma are different for the different ashrams. Okay? So the sannyasis should use the mantra Aung Hasaha. Hasaha means laughter, joy, merriment. It also means blinding light. So this is the light of the Brahmanas, of the sannyasis. This is the mark that distinguishes them from the ordinary human beings. And of course, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Very important mantra. The Vanaprasthis are to use the mantra Aum Haum Triambaka. Triambakaya Namaha. So this mantra talks about Shiva as having three faces, three eyes. Tri-amba. Then the householders should repeat the mantra Aum Triambakaya Namaha. Without the bija Haum. That's only for the Vanaprasthis. And finally, the brahmacharis should use the mantra Triyayusham Jamadagne, or the mantra Medhavi, etc., etc. These are Vedic mantras that the brahmacharis are taught. They're coming from the Vedas. And so a real brahmachari, you see, doesn't live with the parents, unless the parents are brahmanas, real brahmanas. An actual brahmachari lives with the guru and begs for the guru, on behalf of the guru, in the surrounding village and like that. And then in return, the guru teaches them the Vedas. And depending on their skill, depending on their intelligence, they can advance as far as they're capable. So this is the actual path of purification, leading to self-realization. If one does not do this karma yoga, how can he be successful at bhakti and raja and jnana yoga? Because this is the foundation. So make a strong foundation and get the benefit and attain the authentic realization. Om Tat Sat. Aum Shakti Aum.